Hello, Texoma. Thank you for watching. Joining us right now is NBC's political director and moderator of Meet the Press, Todd. Chuck, thanks for joining us.
Happy to do so, Nick.
Chuck, Thanksgiving is next week. It's hard to believe, and I'm sure a lot of during those Thanksgiving dinners, discussion of religion and politics will not be allowed, but I suspect there will be some heated debates, especially regarding faith. It's integral in the lives of the political decisions made by many Americans, and that includes Catholics. As you know, the U.S. bishops at the conference this week, the Pope told bishops to wait on making any big decisions on how to deal with the sex abuse crisis until the global meeting of bishops in February. The U.S. bishops also decided not to release documents concerning now disgraced former Washington Cardinal Theodore McCarrick. Now, the Vatican has said they'll act on all of this, but how does the church regain its credibility among Catholics and non-Catholics?
You know, it's interesting because you watch this, and we've been watching what's happened to the Catholic Church, and in some ways it's emblematic in the growing distrust we have of a lot of our institutions, right? Whether it's certain aspects of government, political parties, political figures, and the Catholic Church in some ways has been the one that broke everybody's heart the most, right? You know, if there was any place you were supposed to have faith and trust, it is the sanctuary of a religion, and in this case, here was a religious faith that let down parents, that let down kids, that did everything that they say they treasure, they didn't protect. And so, I'll be honest with you, I don't know how recoverable this is. There's recovering, and then there's recovering to the point where you get to thrive again. Do I think there's many devout members of the Catholic Church who are wanting to look for a way to move on and recover from this? I do. But I think the fact that suddenly, you know, Pope Francis was supposed to be the person that was going to fix this. And now it feels as if, oh my goodness, is he now part of the cover-up? Or did he not do enough? And I think that the real question I have is if we were treating this as a sort of a political institution, almost looking at it through our American political lens, we would say, I don't know how fully recoverable this will be. And if it is recoverable, we're talking years or decades, not months or years.
Never mind the fact that the former papal envoy brought up those allegations against him, and the Pope said, I'm not going to respond. Read it for yourself.
No, look, the Catholic Church has a lot of challenges already. I think when you look at sort of gender equality issues, you look at the rise of millennials, you look at the issues of sexuality, where it feels as if where the culture is moving around the world and where the Catholic churches are just, you know, they're just not, the Catholic Church has to quote unquote modernize if they want to keep up with the global culture. So those were just sort of your normal issues that frankly every faith is dealing with right now, right? As the culture sort of evolves and goes in directions that some might think are counter to some issues of faith. But then you also have the trust issue of the institution itself, the Catholic Church itself. And that's why you put it all together, and you know, this feels like a religion that is losing more members than it's gaining.
Speaking of institutions, a federal judge says White House correspondent Jim Acosta gets his press pass back. One, should it have been taken away in the first place? And two, does it surprise you that the decision was made so suddenly?
Oh, the decision doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, it was not clear. You know, at a minimum, I thought the government, you could make a case the government couldn't decide who gets a hard pass and who doesn't, but they can't decide what news organizations or what members of what news organizations somehow get to ask questions. So it wasn't, but I look at this in a different frame, Nick. I don't think the White House cared that it was sued, and they don't care that they lost the court fight. The president likes the fact that he's always fighting. And what the president's base likes is the fact that the president never backs down from a fight. And in this case, the president was never going to back down. Even though he knew legally he was not in the right, it was like, you know what, take me to court. Well, CNN did, and that's why they won so easily.
All right, Chuck, and finally, what's ahead on Meet the Press this Sunday?
Well, we're going to talk to two U.S. senators at the center of two different stories. Republican Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, who's gotten much closer to the president these days. He will be taking over the Judiciary Committee. He met with the new acting Attorney General. How confident is he that the Mueller probe will be protected? And then Sherrod Brown, Democrat from Ohio, essentially almost the last Democrat that could win in Ohio. He wants to take that mindset and say, hey, why not me for president? So we'll interview Sherrod Brown with the idea of, is he a future presidential nominee on the Democratic side?
NBC's Chuck Todd. Always good to see you, Chuck. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
And that's all for now. Until next time, take care, Texoma.